The Discovery. Chapter 10. Confrontation. Midnight's stomach twisted and her heart sank. All the things she wanted to tell David were forced to the back of her head as he approached with a very familiar-looking bag in his hands. With each step he took, Midnight's heart beat faster and faster.
Oh no, he went into the closet. Oh, please no.
Midnight thought to herself as the bag swayed slightly in David's hand. Her anxiety skyrocketed and fear clawed at her soul. A painful silence filled the room once David stopped in front of Midnight. As he set the bag down, there was an audible clink as the jars hit each other and the floor. Midnight nearly jumped at the sound. She knew exactly what was in the bag.
What about, big guy?
Midnight said, nearly choking on her words.
Mid, I know that you said you got the morphine to save my life by taking a small amount while you were a medic. And I know that you don't have to tell me a damn thing about your past, but Mid, this is beyond a small amount. There's enough morphine here to run a hospital for a week. I know enough about pony biology now to know that you can get addicted to stuff like this just as much as I can, and I know no one gets addicted to morphine for no reason. So?
David sighed deeply.
I want to know what happened. Why you have this much morphine?
David said, pointing to the bag.
If you don't want to tell me, that's your choice, and I'll respect that. But please, for my sake, don't leave me in the dark here. Tia wouldn't tell me anything other than you had an accident a few years ago. You're my best friend, and I want to make sure you are alright.
Midnight couldn't speak. Her words caught in her throat and her voice failed her. Her anxiety peaked while a bead of sweat quickly began to form on her brow.
How did he find it? Did I not lock the closet? Damn it!
Midnight screamed in her head. There was a long silence between them as they stood in the hallway, simply staring at each other. Midnight felt each second drag on for what seemed like an eternity. Her minds desperately sought answers.
How could he? That's none of his business. David, you... Damn it!
Finally, after quite some time, Midnight's fear and anxiety turned anger, and she spoke.
Where did you get that?
Her piercing glare told David all he needed to know about how she felt about the invasion of her privacy.
I found it in the closet over there,
he said, motioning to the slightly open closet door.
And why were you going through my stuff?
Midnight asked, barely containing her rage.
Because when Tia told me about your accident, I wanted to know what happened. When I saw the crate in the closet, I thought I would find answers in there. I get that you're mad, but I didn't just go through to be nosy, I was worried about you. And this just makes me even more concerned,
David explained, motioning to the bag of morphine.
While I appreciate your concern, I'm not on the stuff anymore. And this was none of your business to go through in the first place. I'm an adult, David. I can make my own decisions. If I'd wanted to tell you about what happened, I would've,
she said through gritted teeth. Midnight ripped the bag away from David with her magic and angrily pushed past him, walking towards the closet. She opened the door and threw the bag into the crate and closed it. She slammed the closet door shut, causing David to visibly cringe at her previously unseen hostility. Midnight took several deep breaths before she turned and spoke to David again.
Look, I don't want to talk about this. I'm going upstairs.
With that, she walked up the stairs, pushing past David's leg. David nearly stumbled over to one side from the surprising amount of force behind Midnight's shoulder.
Wait, Mid.
David started, only to stop when he saw the angry glare in Midnight's eyes. He sighed.
I'll leave you alone then. I'm sorry.
The sound of Midnight's bedroom slamming shut filled the house, and David was left by himself in the hallway.
What did I just do?
Midnight angrily paced back and forth in her room while she sulked over David's actions.
Why did he do that? I mean, did I forget to lock it? Either way, that doesn't give him free rein to just start snooping around. Especially with something so serious. Damn it!
She sighed harshly.
Okay, maybe we just need to establish personal boundaries. Like, don't go snooping through my stuff when I told you not to, for starters.
Midnight thought to herself before letting out a frustrated groan. Midnight shook those thoughts from her head almost as quickly as they appeared.
Damn it, Mid, he was just trying to help. Even if he doesn't understand, it's not like he was trying to make you look like the bad guy here. But that doesn't excuse it, though. I didn't say just go through my stuff when I'm not home, that's fine. But did you say he wasn't invading your personal space way back? Maybe he took that to mean he could go through the closet. No. He's been here long enough to know that that would be a total violation of our trust.
Midnight threw herself onto her bed as the tears started forming.
Damn it, Mid, stop crying! I was going to tell him too.
David sighed for the 10th time. His mind searched for answers while he sat on the front porch with his head hung low. He pawed at a small rock in his hands as his thoughts raced over his fight with Midnight.
Motherfucker, why did I do that? Why couldn't I just wait for her to come back and then ask her about it? Looking through her stuff like that, how did I not expect her to be angry?
He shouted in his head as he threw the rock at the country road leading away from the house. David hung his head low. His heart ached and the pit in his stomach refused to go away.
So stupid. Why did I think confronting her about it would be a good idea? I should have just asked her like a normal person. What was I thinking? She probably thinks I was calling her an addict and trying to make her sound like a junkie. God damn it! She deserves better than me.
David sat on the porch for a long time before he noticed the sky turning multiple shades of orange and the sun lowering in the sky.
Must be at least 4-ish by now. Maybe I should... No, she needs personal space. I'll see about talking with her tomorrow.
David rose from the porch and started walking down the road. He blindly followed the path and proceeded towards Canterlot as the sun set over the horizon. David walked with his mind lost in thought as the gravel under his shoes dispersed and compacted under his weight. With each step, his feet seemed to get heavier and heavier. He trudged along the beaten path in a haze. The events of several hours ago replayed in his head so many times, he was sick of it.
God damn it, this is our first fight ever and I'm letting it get to me like this. Maybe I'm blowing things out of proportion. Maybe she isn't that mad and by tomorrow morning we'll just laugh this off and things will be alright between us. God, I hope so.
As David proceeded down the path, he found his way back into Canterlot. He walked through the busy streets as the final hours of the workday came to a close and ponies began making their way home. David trudged through the crowds with his head hung low. No matter what he tried to think of instead, he could not shake his thoughts from the fight.
And to think I was gonna tell her how I felt. I bet she would never even consider it now.
Davy!
A feminine voice called out. David looked up at the ponies walking around him. He swiveled his head until he found the direction of the voice. After squinting his eyes slightly, he saw a navy blue Pegasus mare with a silver mane and tail. Her cutie mark was a wooden shield being struck by a lightning bolt, and her emerald eyes seemed to beam when she made eye contact with David. She waved a hoof at him, to which he waved back, and the two of them closed the distance between them. The mare jumped into the air and tackled David into a tight hug, knocking him to the ground in the process.
Davy, I was just on my way to come see you. I was really worried after you just ran out of the castle earlier today. I tried to get your attention, but you just ran past me. What are you doing here?
She asked.
Storm shield?
David hesitantly asked.
Well, duh. Of course it's me, silly. Oh, wait, that's right. You've never seen me without my armor on. Well, here I am.
She said, as she hopped off of David's chest and sheepishly smiled. David rose to a sitting position and reached out to Storm's ear. He scratched just behind her ear, earning a contented sigh from the Pegasus.
You're as adorable as I thought you'd be, Stormy,
David said with a smile.
Well, I aim to please. But you still haven't told me what you're doing over here. Don't make me put my armor on and force the truth out of you.
She said playfully. David put his hands up in a mock surrender.
I yield. I'll tell you why. Just, can we go somewhere not so crowded?
David asked, suddenly aware of the many eyes on the two of them.
Oh, yeah. We can go to my place. It's only a little ways away.
Sounds good to me.
Storm helped David to his feet and led the way through the crowded streets towards her house. Despite the many ponies out and about, Storm easily navigated her way through the busy streets, with David tagging just behind. Some ponies made it clear that they wanted nothing to do with the human, as they pushed themselves further into the crowds to avoid him. But some ponies recognized him and gave their greetings, which David kindly returned. I wonder if there's gonna be some kind of thing where David's going for Storm? Or something else happens and it's like a weird love circle or cycle or however that goes. This is getting interesting. But hey, we'll find out soon. Anyway, let's get on to our flirtatious donators. Top donators are 630, Only One Thing, Ceru Orion, and IronSky. Darkside, Raiden, Narwhals, Black Moon, Heart Pastel Skies, Austin Rollins, Stu Hex, Sword Brother, and Margaret, Armycon, Library, Will, Chris Twinkie, Rides All, Badass Waffle, Shadow Moon, Luigi 88, Chancer Crust, Big Smoke 369, Bobcat GJF, and many more fantastic people. Thank you all so much for watching this video and live life to the fullest.